So as you'll be well aware, at IPENS we're on a journey of change. We've been talking about this change over the past 2 years, about how we're responding to the feedback from the membership, to what you've been telling us, especially about how we need to better serve the profession, to do a better job of generating connection and recognition for our members, about how we need to have much greater influence in shaping the agenda for engineering professionals in this country. We've responded to what you've told us a number of times through qualitative and quantitative research, through correspondence and through very many conversations. Conversations like the one today is a really important part of the feedback process for us. We've listened, and what we've heard we believe has given us a clear mandate for change. We're about connecting engineers generationally and across disciplines to increase the recognition of our profession and our work. That means pursuing credibility and influence. Our strategy is based on these 4 pillars: connection, recognition, credibility and influence. Everything we're doing is founded on these 4 pillars. We're seeking to deliver what the membership want, and we're taking action on what you've told us. To that end, IPENS is changing. We're changing because we must stay relevant, we must stay thriving. If we don't deliver what we know our members want, what you've told us, we'll get left behind. And there are many examples of professional bodies in that situation around the world that are struggling for relevance. That's not an option for IPENS. Tomorrow's engineers, we're facing both huge social change and technologically disrupted world like never before, and IPENS want to be there to support you through that change. At last year's Roadshow, we talked about the changes that we put in place at the time. We outlined those that were yet to come. To that end, over the last year, we've continued to seek feedback from members, and we've had solid support expressed for the way we're reshaping IPENS. So today, Tony and I will outline some of the very visible, imminent changes, and then we'll talk about our priorities looking to the year ahead. It is a significant year for us. We are totally focused on delivering on 1 October our new membership pathway and our accompanying outward transformation. We're going to talk more about each of these shortly, but I just want to point out that these are firmly anchored in the strategy that we have put in place. The new membership pathway, it's all about generating credibility and influence for the profession. The current membership structure just doesn't work for all our engineering professionals. To deliver the greater recognition and influence that our members are asking for, we need broader representation across the profession. We want to be the professional home for a wide range of engineers from all disciplines and importantly at all stages of their careers. Repositioning IPENS as an organisation is about achieving better recognition and connection within the world. Our new name, Engineering New Zealand, reflects this new direction and strategy to bring engineering to life. It explains much more clearly who we are and what we stand for. So a strategy which was formed by what you've told us is driving everything that we're doing in that regard. So one thing that's become clear to me in the past few months when I've been talking to people about the new membership pathway is that confusion currently exists between chartered professional engineer and being a professional member of IPENS. Many chartered professional engineers are also professional members of IPENS, but don't necessarily see a distinction between the two. One of the things that the new membership pathway is designed to do is to help address that current confusion. It's important to understand CPENG is part of the regulatory system. It's separate from IPENS membership. So if you are CPENG, nothing changes in relation to that on the 1st of October. If you are CPENG and also a professional member of IPENS, then on 1 October you'll be CPENG and also a chartered member of IPENS. Our new charter member class recognises engineers who've reached a specific, internationally recognised level of experience and competence, and that international recognition is important for our mobility, and we must maintain that going forward. This class has been designed to sit alongside the current CPENG registration system, but it's also looking ahead to potential changes to the CPENG context, and these are on the horizon. It's very likely that the regulatory system is in fact going to change. For some time, MB has been working on a new occupational licensing regime for the building and construction sector. We're advocating for this licensing to cover all safety critical areas, not just where the current focus is around building related seismic, geotechnical, structural and fire engineering areas that have been identified by MB. There are many other areas of engineering, a lot of them represented in this room, that are safety critical. For example, water, food, processing, heavy vehicle and transportation. And we think it diminishes the profession if the safety critical issues and licensing is only focused on one part of our industry. So we have built a strong relationship with MB at different levels over the last 2 years, and we're actively engaging with them to influence the form that such licensing may take. At the same time, we're getting ready for the change. Over the next few years, we will align CPENG to focus on specific technical competence based on the agreed bodies of knowledge developed by the respective technical interest groups for the various practice areas. And our work with those technical interest groups is really important in terms of addressing those bodies of knowledge, so that's a key area of connection to our technical interest groups. Our new membership pathway supports the transition, with the chartered member class providing recognition of engineering competence in all fields of engineering to an equivalent, once again, internationally benchmark level. In contrasting, licensing will provide additional recognition of New Zealand-specific technical competence in key practice areas. So let's look at the pathway. What else does the new membership pathway offer? Our outstandingly successful student membership program continues, and we'll be focusing more effort on students as they transition to the next stage of their careers in membership. The new Emerging Professionals class that targets special support at new engineers in the years immediately after graduation. The Emerging Professional Development Program sits alongside our current Accredited Professional Development Partners Program. So this is designed to help new engineers build the skills to be successful engineering professionals. Once they've completed the program, or up to 5 years, whichever comes first, then emerging professionals transition across to the member category. The changes we've made to the member category address the problem of an engineer getting labelled as a graduate member for the lifetime of their career. If at the moment they don't consider assessment relevant or appropriate, then they stay in that graduate class and ultimately lose touch with us. So if you meet the qualifying criteria, you can join as a member, and while it's a non-assessed class, you do need to make a commitment every year to our Code of Ethical Conduct and ongoing professional development. So this ensures all members maintain currency, keeping up to date with current practice and thinking. And that is really what distinguishes an engineering professional from someone who chooses not to be a member. Following on from member, the next step is a chartered member. This is for engineers who have reached an internationally recognised level of experience and competence measured through an assessment similar to the current CPENG assessment. And beyond chartered member comes the opportunity for fellow and distinguished fellow, which recognise outstanding service to the profession, as is currently the case. So as I mentioned, under the new pathway, everyone will commit every year to upholding the Code of Ethical Conduct and to continuing professional development. Introducing a formal requirement for annual CPD is a big change, so the first 2 years we'll have as a transition phase. There'll be a focus on supporting and informing members as they work through this transition. The explicit commitment to ethical behaviour in CPD reflects our commitment to raising standards of ethics and professionalism. We see it as a public way of demonstrating credibility. It sets you apart from engineers who aren't members. As the public become more discerning and seek engineers that they can have confidence in and trust, this kind of marker we see will become increasingly important. And we'll be making sure that clients and the wider public know about them, so absolutely take on board that there is a responsibility for IPENS to communicate what's happening with our membership pathway and what it means going forward. As mentioned earlier, the new membership pathway launches on 1 October 2017, and at the same time, IPENS will become Engineering New Zealand. We see adopting a new name as an outward signal of our new direction and of all the changes that have taken place within IPENS. And just on behalf of the board, this has been a discussion that's been going on for some period of time, and the board were committed to not making that name change until we felt the foundation stones were in place that signified the change, and then the naming changes follows on from that. The new name explains much more clearly who we are and what we stand for. Just think about that, Engineering New Zealand, who we are and what we stand for. It reflects extensive feedback from members about making engineers better recognised, better understood and better valued. Our members are asking us to be more modern, accessible, externally focused and relevant. Our members want us to be plugged into the world, and we see the name helps signal the major shift in this regard. It also makes it much clearer to the public and other stakeholders who we are and what we do. We're very serious about delivering the greater recognition that members are asking for. This means lifting our public profile, having an easily understandable name as part of this instead of explaining an acronym. Engineering New Zealand provides instant recognition. We've been talking to a lot of people about the new name, inside and outside the profession, and by far the most common reaction is, yeah, that makes sense. It's self-explanatory and it puts engineering first, which is important as well. Just to reassure you, we're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. We'll continue to reflect our proud heritage by using the tagline Institute of Engineering Professionals. This reflects the wide range of engineering professionals that we provide a home for, and the name Institution of Professional Engineers New Zealand remains as our legal name. The new name also brings a new look. The best way to articulate this is to stop talking and show you. So I'm now going to play a video that explains some of the journey we've been on and where we're heading. We've put a lot of thought into what our new symbol should be, how we can convey the potential, the ingenuity, the creativity of engineering, how we can expand people's conceptions of what engineering is. Like all good logos, the butterfly has an element of ambiguity and possibility. It suggests biomimicry, that uncanny ability to engineer something that reflects the very best of nature. The blue, of course, retains a connection to the past, while the form suggests the importance of design and innovation. Like any change of logo, I'm sure it'll provoke a reaction, but I think you'll find, like the far from radical engineers that make up your board have, the butterfly can help take us to a different place, and that's certainly a journey that I've been on as we've gone through this process. So I invite you all to just think about those words. I trust you'll agree that we are heading into an exciting new era, quite different from the organisation of old, and yet really importantly we're maintaining a strong connection to our proud heritage, because that's our foundation, that's what we're based on. So that's a quick summary of this year and our immediate priorities. Now Tania is going to talk to you briefly about our strategic priorities for 2017 and 18.
My name is Tania Williams and I am the relatively new General Manager of Engineering Leadership for IPENS. For those who knew Graham Dilks, I've replaced him in his role. I've been here 4.5 months, so it's relatively new to me, and I'm very excited to not quite stand before you today, but lean, we'll say, and go through some of the priorities that IPENS has for the next year. All the things that I'm going to talk about follow the new strategy that we've had for the last 2.5 years. It is all about supporting engineers to make New Zealanders' lives better. And everything that we talk about, every priority we have, is in the 4 pillars that Craig has referred to. So it's credibility, influence, recognition, and connection. So please bear those in mind as I go through. The first and most obvious priority is where Craig's very eloquently talked about the change in name and the pathways. But it doesn't stop here. In fact, the 1st of October in some senses is the start. There has been a huge amount of effort put into both those initiatives to date, but it's what we do from here that will make the greatest difference in embedding that pathway and really maximising the benefit, and embedding the name change and maximising the benefit of that one as well. The regulatory environment will continue to evolve. We are there's plenty of time for questions afterwards, but as we talk about the pathways, as we talk about CPENG, and we are continuing to lobby MB. It's difficult being an election year, but we are very keen, as Craig said, to get that licensing in place, and not just in a limited range, but expand it to as many of the safety critical areas as we can, starting with the 3 identified by the government. One of our next steps in the pathway is to ensure we offer enough benefits to members, and we want to continue to get your feedback on this. A good barometer on how we're doing on member benefits is looking at our membership numbers, and we are very strong in membership numbers, but we want to get more diverse as a membership. We want for people to see us in all areas of engineering as a home for their whole career. So we are looking very hard at the member benefits. We must retain our young engineers. We are putting a special focus on students transitioning to the workforce, and we have got an emerging professional framework. So what we would have called graduate programs in the past, we've got that, and that will be rolled out very soon, which is a really exciting time. And everyone that's seen that has given overwhelmingly positive feedback in shaping our engineers to meet the challenges of the ever-changing industry that we're working in. We also are working with the IPENS Foundation. Hopefully you're all aware of the fantastic work that they do in benevolence and scholarships and things, and we're working with them to revisit their strategy and what they're inputting to as well. Or continuing professional development. Hopefully all of you have had a chance to participate in one of the webinars. If you haven't, I'd actively encourage you to look on the website, sign up for one. We are not replacing face-to-face courses. Face-to-face courses will absolutely be there and enhanced. In fact, we're putting a committee together this year to be an advisory group on what we need as far as the quality of our face-to-face courses and the courses that we run. But in parallel with that, we're also trying to seek to widen who can get to our courses, to get to the more geographically remote and the smaller areas through webinars. So that's 3/4 of an hour to 1 hour sessions on topical issues. So please, as I say, check that out. We're also doing a lot more e-learning. So you'll notice the first 2 courses coming up are in ethics and compliance, and the other one is in health and safety, but we're intending to do more online courses as well as videoing face-to-face courses for those who can't get to them in person. We're also giving a lot of guidance because of the pathways and the annual commitment to CPD. We are giving a lot of guidance on how you can keep that 40 hours a year going. Helen's here, and one of the things that you might like to question afterwards is we have overhauled the complaints, not we, Helen and team have overhauled the complaints and disciplinary process completely and made it much more proportionate, fair and robust. I mean, this has been a real triumph for IPENS, and those of you who were aware of some of the issues that we had in the past will absolutely see some of the fantastic things in the changes there. At the lower end of the spectrum, we're now focusing on quality improvements, education, development, and learning to use alternative dispute resolution processes. For the more serious complaints, we of course are using evidence-based regulatory rigor. There you go. One of the things that real testimony to Helen and the team and the changes that have been made is that Helen received not one but 2 legal counsel awards recently for the changes and her leadership of those changes that have been made. So we're getting recognition not only internally for how well that is going and change, but externally a lot of positive recognition for the changes that have been made. Quality. Previously we've referred a lot to practice. We are still doing practice notes, we are still looking at practice, but we're moving more into the quality space. We've got some very significant initiatives underway. Hopefully you're all aware of our first own motion inquiry into the circumstances surrounding the engineering, design and construction of 6 buildings in Masterton. So that's one of the initiatives there. It's our responsibility to investigate these matters that relate to individual engineers, but also we are recognising that engineers, of course, are part of a system. So we continue with education, we continue with practice notes, we can continue with the debates and inputting to code changes and guidance notes that will help to make a difference in that quality area. So you'll see a lot more around the quality space in the next year. I see some of you here are involved in this, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of, you would all be aware of the issues around the differences between seismic assessments. We are putting a significant amount of work into what we've called sort of more the fence at the top of the cliff around education, around helping with the codes, helping with the guidelines, helping with how we should work in this framework. But we've also seen a need to put in place an initiative where to help in moderating divergent seismic assessments and the issues that have captured significant media attention. So there will be guided facilitation where that becomes necessary when there are issues where it's quite divergent in view of the seismic assessments. So watch this space. That should be also launched in about September, October time. But we are looking to make our own processes around the assessment process, around CPENG, simpler, more consistent and more robust. A big part of this is bringing some assessors in-house and continuing to be very proactive with our practice assessors as well. We're working with technical experts and quite a number of the groups represented here about bodies of knowledge to set the bar very firmly in the technical space for particular areas of engineering, and we hope to expand that into other areas as the year goes on. And with Amanda here, one of the things that I have been very impressed with since joining IPENS is the media profile. Amanda and the rest of the team have really raised the bar with this. After the Kaikoura earthquake, working with both NZSEE and CSOC, we've proved really credible. We've got Peter here, Peter Smith, and Paul Campbell have also done us incredibly proud being the spokespeople on behalf of the engineering industry, and it has helped immensely in our credibility and in the public's understanding. Hearing about the technical issues in layman's very understandable terms can bring a lot of understanding but a lot of reassurance to the public, and we're trying to expand this into other areas and get people trained up and ready to speak on other issues on behalf of the engineering profession as well. We want to lead the conversation. I just thought I'd tell you, we do a lot of responses to submissions. In the last couple of weeks, the ones off the top of my head is in conjunction with ALF, which is the ASENS and Water NZ and many of the other engineering bodies around. We have put in a submission on the Civil Defence Review. We've put in a submission last week on the Havelock North Inquiry. We're putting in a submission tomorrow on the shortage of chemical engineers. We put in a submission on the 110k kilometre an hour speed limit. We are trying to get absolutely make sure the voice of your voice, the voice of the membership, is consistent and out there in the topical issues that are coming up at the moment. We also want to see next year, we want to become more proactive. We'd like to put out a document, and we've hopefully most of you have had the chance to fulfill the survey. We'd like to put out a voice in the areas that we haven't been asked about, but we feel very passionately that we need to have a collective voice in. So please watch this space. Refreshing our awards. This will come in a couple of stages, but the idea here is we really want to rejuvenate the awards. We want to connect with the public as well as recognise the professionals, the likes of whom are in this room. We want to split the Fellows and Distinguished Fellows awards and make sure that that is an absolutely appropriate event, but then get some of the other more industry awards into a different event over the next couple of years. So you'll see something in that space. And greater diversity. In 2017-18, there's so much that's happened from the Diversity Summit a year or so ago. But what we want to do is we've joined forces with the architects. We're coming up with a comprehensive campaign. It's about increasing the number of women in engineering and architecture by 20% by 2021. Now, a number of people ask why focus just on women. What has been shown from all the studies and literature out there is that if you start, it's like an arrow. If you start with the gender, then and the techniques that you establish for that, the diversity for all other groups will follow. So please, we are absolutely pushing ahead on a broader diversity and inclusion initiatives. We will be looking for meaningful engagement with Māori over the next year as well. In this bicultural nationhood, we are increasing our Māori representation through things as well. So please look out for the gender campaign, but please know that there is a lot more to follow behind that, and this will be another big focus for 2017-18. So that's it. There's a lot going on, and I hope you'd see the passion in my voice and the passion in the other members of the IPEN staff here and in the board. We are continuing with our business as usual, and we are very passionate about that, but we are also very passionate about the many initiatives that we haven't done before that we're forging into. We really appreciate all of your feedback at any stage on any of the things that I have discussed, or if any of you want to be involved in any particular initiatives that you've heard about today, we would love to hear from you.